2004. My name is Alexis Maule, and I'm a Student Council President this past year. Today, we all have one very special thing in common, and that is the honor of hearing Barack Obama, one extraordinary person. We are fortunate because we have the opportunity to hear from a history maker who is just beginning a bright and promising path. Currently, Mr. Obama represents the Illinois 13th State Senate District. He is as educationally qualified as they come, with a BA in Political Science from Columbia University and a law degree from Harvard Law School. At Harvard, he earned the honor of being the first African-American editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review. Senator Obama is a civil rights attorney and is currently a senior lecturer in constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School. Barack Obama is a name you have all probably heard more recently, as he is the Illinois Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. If elected in November, he will be the third African-American to serve on the U.S. Senate since Reconstruction. Senator Obama is married to Michelle Obama, a member of the Lab School's board, and is the father of 2 young daughters who attend Lab School. In a highly contested primary for the Senate, he was the resounding winner with over 50% of the vote. His philosophy of an agenda that is inclusive by gender, by race, and more importantly, by socioeconomic status was a strong message to voters. His belief in capitalism tempered by social programs that provide for education, health care, and minimum accepted living standards for all truly made sense to people of all economic classes and backgrounds. This philosophy of inclusion promises to establish Barack Obama as a national leader. I am personally honored to introduce Mr. Obama because I spent my senior May project working for his campaign for the past 4 weeks. His achievements have inspired me and showed me that making a difference is possible if you are dedicated and have strong willpower. His character is one of wholehearted honesty, deep integrity and compassion, and sharp intellect. He is driven to help people and combat injustice, which he fights for every day. Given his age, I think Mr. Obama represents a model for us as we try to define ourselves and our paths into the future. Please join me in welcoming a dear friend of my family, a history maker, and one of the most exciting voices in politics today, Senator Barack Obama.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction by Alexis, who I have to, in the interest of full disclosure, note is currently interning in my office. So she had to say these nice things about me. Otherwise, she would get, some miserable assignment like licking envelopes. So, but I'm so proud of her and so proud of the entire class of 2004. Extraordinarily grateful for this opportunity to address you briefly. Now, I have to say that Director McGill said that you will be spellbound by my talk, and I have to warn you that my general understanding of commencement speakers is that I am standing between these young people and life itself. And so I think that if I go on too long and try to deliver a spellbinder, that I may be in trouble. I am going to try to be relatively brief. I want to thank not only the director, but I think that the class of 2004, now's a decent time, and there may be other times in the program, but it's not bad if you do it twice, to give another round of applause to the faculty and staff of the Lab School for the wonderful work that they've done. I think it's a good time to remind yourselves that as well as you have done, all of you are a testament to the patience, hard work, good humor, and grace of your wonderful parents, grandparents, and family who are here today. Please give them a hand. Now, I have to confess that I do not remember at all who my commencement speaker was at my high school. I have no idea. And I suspect that I'm not untypical in that regard. It is true that I graduated in 1979, before most of you were born or even close to being born. And so it is understandable that I would not remember who the commencement speaker was. But I also think that generally it is a difficult task to try to impart anything particularly meaningful at a time of enormous excitement. I do recall that at your age, I was absolutely convinced that I was now fully grown, that I was fully capable of running my own life, was not particularly interested in advice from other people. I was looking forward to getting out of the house, getting on with my business. Sound familiar? Yes, a number of people nodded their heads. And I understand that that's how you feel, and that's appropriate, because this is one of those rituals, one of the few rituals that we have left in our society to signify a movement into adulthood. But I guess the most important thing maybe that I can talk about today is to remind all of you that not only are you not full grown, but there are a whole bunch of 30, 40, 50, and 60-year-olds who are not yet full grown. Your parents know some of them. I won't suggest that your parents are some of them. But the idea of being a full-grown man or woman is more than just a function of years. It's more than just a certificate or a diploma. It's more than just being facile with words or numbers or being highly skilled. It strikes me that being full-grown is more a function of character. It's more a function of values. It's more a function of attitude. And in that respect, all of us are always doing our best to become full-grown. If you have any doubt that I am not full-grown, talk to my wife. She has a long list of attributes that she suggests I need improving. But all of us have to think about, what does it mean to be a full-grown man? What does it mean to be a full-grown woman? How do we make our mark in the world in a way that reflects our most important selves, that kernel of truth that is ourselves? And I don't have an exhaustive list of what those items are, but I do have some broad strokes, some suggestions that indicate to me when I am moving about in the world whether somebody is full-grown or not. There are certain characteristics, certain attributes that seem to consistently apply regardless of what field they're in, regardless of where they live or what they do. The first is a commitment to excellence. People who are full-grown commit themselves to excellence. And this is actually something that is hard, I think, to communicate to a group that is the top tier of their age group. Everybody here is far more accomplished than certainly I was at your age, far more accomplished in terms of academic achievement and in some cases extracurricular achievement than 98% of your peers. And so it may seem redundant for me to suggest the need to pursue excellence. And yet, one of the dangers that you have when you have been given so much and when you achieve such excellence is to remain hungry, remain interested in seeing if you can take it up another notch, to see if you can maybe do just a little bit better than you're already doing. because one of the functions of leaving the house is that you will not have your parents nagging at you anymore. They will try, but they will not succeed, and as a consequence, the only engine for your excellence is going to be internal. The only way for you to push yourself beyond your comfort zone is going to be because there's something in you that says, I can take it up another notch. And just to give you some sense of what you are facing in the new world that we are entering. I was in California last week, and I took a tour of the Google campus. Some of you may know Google, everybody knows the search engine, and the fact that the two founders of Google, I think, are 27 and 28 or 30. They looked younger when I met them. They were wearing t-shirts and jeans. The average age there is 27, and when I went into a big assembly hall that they had, because they meet on a weekly basis, and this is the hottest company in the world. They're about to issue a public offering that will make each of these 27 and 28-year-olds some of the richest people on the planet. What was striking to me was the fact that of the incoming people who they had recruited, at least half of them were foreign born. At least half of them were from other countries than the United States. And it reminded us that we are no longer competing just in a meritocracy that is national. We're now competing in a global meritocracy. So that as well as you think you may be doing with respect to your peer group here, there are a whole bunch of folks all across the globe that are just a little bit hungrier than we are sometimes, that have had a little tougher time getting to the place where they are now, and are going to be that much more motivated than all of you are, unless you've got that internal sense that you can in fact work that much harder to do that much better. The second principle, the notion of taking responsibility for your actions. You know, one of the things about being public life is that you are constantly observing the manner in which our culture loves to blame somebody else for their problems. In fact, we have a politics that's designed around a basic concept of either or. Either you are in favor of unfettered capitalism, in which you don't care at all about people who are not succeeding in this system, or you are somebody who thinks that everything that ails the United States or the globe has to do with multinational corporations. Either you are a firm believer that the reason we have crime is because of the character flaws of the people who engage in it, or you are somebody who thinks that, in fact, society is to blame for all the ills that plague us. And I guess one of the things that I think is important for you as you get older is to recognize that rather than focus on the flaws of other people or what's not being done, that you recognize that it's not an either-or proposition, it's a both-and proposition. You have a sense of individual responsibility for yourself, and our society has mutual responsibilities that extend our scope of concern beyond our individual selves. It's something that is continually forgotten, and yet something that I think is vital for our young people to remember. Which leads me to a third point, and that is the principle of public engagement. Alexis mentioned earlier that we live in a country in which our primary ambitions are designed around material things. Making the most money, having the corner office, driving the fanciest car, making sure that you live in the best neighborhoods. It strikes me that if that's all you're interested in, then you're exhibiting a poverty of ambition. That you have to get involved with something larger than yourself. And I say that not just to give a guilt trip to you, not just to say that you owe a debt to people who helped you get to where you are, although you do owe that debt. It's not just because you have an obligation to people who are less fortunate than you, although you do have that obligation, but rather it's because you have an obligation to yourselves. I don't know anybody who I respect and who's successful in life who hasn't become successful because they hitched their wagon to something larger than themselves. We're not very significant by ourselves. We're significant because we're in a relationship with other people, and we're doing something for others. And that can manifest itself in a whole bunch of different ways. It doesn't have to be politics or public service. It can be through your business, through your art, but whatever it is, it's got to be something that gives back and extends outside of your immediate concerns. Which brings me to, I think, the last point that perhaps is most important at a time when we are still seeing the shadow of 9/11, at a time when there are young people not much older than you who are in Iraq right now fighting, whose lives are at risk, who may not come back. And that is that if we've ever needed the value of empathy, it is now. When I say empathy, I don't mean sympathy. I mean the capacity to look at the world through somebody else's eyes. The ability to stand in another person's shoes. You know, when Dr. King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and made his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, he did not say, "It's a black thing you can't understand." He said, "It's a human thing. You must understand what I'm going through, and I understand too what you are going through, and we're in this thing together." When the founding fathers of this country wrote the Declaration of Independence, they didn't say, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that some men are created equal." They said, "All men." Of course, they left out women, which indicates they lacked a certain empathy. At a time when most of the conflicts and strife in this world are driven by tribe and people who are absolutely convinced that they have the only answers and are absolutely willing to try to subject people who are not like them, there's nothing more important than you recognizing that all of us are born with blind spots, that everybody has a story to tell, that each culture's story is sacred. If you are able to maintain that sense and that ability to learn and be open to people who are not like yourselves, then I'm absolutely certain that you are going to fulfill the hopes and dreams of everybody in this beautiful cathedral, that we are going to be reading about your wonderful exploits for all the years to come, and that sometime when you come back to your high school reunions or graduations, that you'll have far greater achievements to describe than any of the things that we have achieved. So congratulations, class of 2004. Best of luck to all of you. Thank you very much.